What's up, DFS degenerates? Let's talk a little NBA preseason. For the rest of you guys out there who just can't get enough DFS, we are here checking out the NBA slate. Like, I actually got really excited because I played for a little bit more last night, and I was a little bit more into the NBA slate than I've been able to. Like, just thinking about the regular season coming has got me gassed and excited.
I'm about to piggyback off that. Like, when we first started talking about NBA, I'm like, really? Like, preseason NBA? Like, do we really want to even cover that? Since we talked about it a little more, we realized it was a good niche. People started watching it. Now I'm excited about it. I mean, I'm really excited about this slate, as bizarre as that sounds.
And just because I don't look at DraftKings, I don't spend my time trying to figure out where I'm up, where I'm down. I look at the box scores because it helps me to understand substitution patterns throughout the season. And just scouring the box scores last night, just forget how fast-paced NBA is, how the points change so quickly. Like, we're all degenerates at this stuff. We love it. But, on baseball, you're like, oh, my guy, he swung and missed. Strike three, he's out. Now I got to wait another hour for him to come up again. Like, basketball, there's no waiting. Your guys are in. There's a bunch of games going. It's just go, 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 go. It's just so much fun. I am super pumped up for the season. Preseason's already starting to give me that itch a little bit more, man. Let's just jump right into this bad boy. We got a 5-game slate tonight.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think that this is a kind of a nice little segment we found. No one else is covering it, so sign on up, guys.
Few and far between. We will be doing a lot of these free shows throughout the preseason. Once the real season starts, number of picks will go down. We'll be saving a lot of that for paying customers. Sign on up, guys. We'll have football back. Kind enough to press the thumbs up button. That helps us spread our stuff around YouTube. It is sincerely appreciated, and it's just a great way to say thank you. And let's jump into what we're looking at today. Again, minutes are tough to predict in the preseason. We're starting to get a little better idea. At least some of these teams have played already. So you get a little bit of an idea of what their coaching staff is going to do. Nothing is guaranteed in the preseason, though. We can just make our best educated guesses.
Yeah, we don't know, but all we can go off of is, the little info we do have.
All right. So one thing we can look at today, and what I do like about this, is DraftKings is not updating the preseason info if you check out their game log. So it does require you to look just a little bit deeper. Denver and LA has already played once in the preseason, which doesn't mean that 100% that the minutes and the usage and the shots will break out exactly the same tonight, but it does give us a little bit of data to work off of. Game 1, Denver of LA, this kid, Monte Morris, at the point guard position, played 26 minutes. He went 4 of 9 from the field. He grabbed 6 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, did a little bit of everything. And the most important number there is going to be the 26 minutes. He offers you good value at this price. He was big in the G League last year. He was big in the Summer League. The Nuggets have been impressed, and they really want to find out what they have with this kid. So he's cheap. I don't think the field will be giving him a lot of love. I could be wrong. I don't know where everybody's going in the field yet. It is tough to tell early in the preseason. But I think he offers you good value at $4,600 for a guy who, very likely, based on what we've seen, I think you could see mid-20s for minutes again. I didn't even bring this up to you before because I wanted to just talk about it on air. This is a great example, Monte Morris, of how how we work really well together and how kind of we complement each other. So this is a great find by you to kind of scour the box scores and see, what he did. Now, to take that a step further, I am familiar with Monte Morris. I've been familiar for years with this guy because he was a stud at Iowa State. And that box score that he put up is who he is. This is a guy that, had a lot of assists and a lot of boards as a point guard in college, was kind of that floor general extreme in college where he ran the show and kind of did everything. So a guy that I believe spent 4 years in college, so little chip on his shoulder, more advanced than a lot of kids already. Kind of going off what you said, this is a real good spot for him to show what he can do. Expect him to have a big fourth quarter would be the way that I would look at it, right? This is his time to come out and shine. He'll get some run in the first half. Probably not a lot, but a little bit would just be my guess. Again, we're always guessing in the preseason. But I think he gets a good run in the fourth quarter, puts up a bunch of points, and he can be kind of that closer for you. Last night, I didn't even think I was going to cash at NBA, but my guys for the Suns, huge second half for them. And that's kind of the nice part about some of these guys that come in and play late. And I feel like that the late games will get a little less love. So that's another good thing for this one. With the game being played in LA, it'll be late, come in as a bit of your closer. if you don't get freaked out by seeing your contest winning say 0 all night long, just to have it only matters what it says at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Most people can't deal with that, but it's a great point.
All right, next up. All right, have you guys seen the movie McGruder? Well, that's not it. This is Rodney McGruder. Minutes are huge in NBA DFS. And the number one statistic you can look at, they've played one game already, and he played 31 minutes in the first game. And the Heat are dealing with an absolute plethora of injuries right now.
Yeah, so this is kind of like almost a similar situation, but even more, pro McGruder because of the injuries that they have. So, like you said, all we can go off of is what we have. He played 31 minutes. You don't usually see a lot of guys playing over 30 minutes, so that's a great sign. So that's a great sign. And he's also, while his spot is probably more guaranteed than Monte Morris, they have a lot of swingmen in Miami. So this is a real good opportunity for him to show what he can do, getting a lot of buzz, as you say. Listen, kind of the first point is the point we should underline. Minutes are huge in NBA DFS.
Right. If he's going to be out there, steals, blocks, rebounds, any statistical category you can think of, more likely to happen if you're on the court. That is something I can say with certainty. I can't say a lot of things with certainty in NBA preseason, but you can't get stats sitting on the bench. And if you're playing 31 minutes, that's just a better opportunity to score.
Yes, sir.
And the Heats have a lot of guys out tonight. Richardson is questionable. Adebayo's out, and then a bunch of guys ranging from out to questionable. Why force a guy in the preseason? Play a guy that's healthy like McGruder.
Definitely, and I also read a couple times in doing research for these games that Miami's trying to play with a quicker pace. So who knows what will happen here with so many guys out? But that's what they're trying to do.
All righty. Hassan Whiteside. Is he tough to trust? To put it bluntly, hell yes. But we know that this guy offers huge point per minute upside. We've already touched how the Heat are dealing with a myriad of injuries right now, which makes his playing time on the court a little bit safer. This guy was an absolute nightmare last year to evaluate from a DFS perspective. If you didn't play him, he went for 50. If you played him, he played 3 minutes and then got taken out. What we saw in game 1 of the preseason already was vintage good Whiteside. Now, does that mean he's going to play that way tonight? Nope, it doesn't. But I do like the fact that they got a bunch of guys that are out, so his minutes are safer. This dude's got a ton to prove this year after being a major letdown last year. And you know what he did in his, I think, 21 minutes in the first game? 20 and 13 with 2 steals and 2 blocks, and he even hit a three-pointer. So did he add that to his arsenal? I wouldn't be expecting it, but I didn't see it. I don't know if he just gunned it up at halftime and it went in, or if that's something he's actually trying to do out a little bit this year and step out. I didn't see it, so I don't know, but I do know he went for 20, 13, 2 and 2, which is like 46 DK points by my math.
Yeah, and I really like the last point because this seems like a bounce-back year for Whiteside. A lot of talk off-season about how, him and Pat Riley and Spoelstra met and kind of cleared the air on everything after he was kind of bitching towards the end of the year. Listen, as you kind of alluded to, he's a tough guy to roster because – you can't trust him. And in the NBA, trust is gold. That being said, as you also alluded to, his upside's awesome. And if he's focused and kind of engaged right now, which it looks like he is, this is a really good spot for him because he's going to play because they just don't have a lot of guys to play minutes right now.
Yeah, Adebayo being out definitely helps. And this guy's a point per minute absolute stud. Just a stud when it comes to points per minute, when he's engaged, when he's in. Look, we're basing this off of one game. Does that mean he's going to play well tonight? It doesn't. But I certainly like it a hell of a lot better than if he had been out there for 21 minutes and only gave you 2 rebounds. 20 and 13 in 21 minutes, preseason, playoffs, regular season, street ball, video games, I don't care. That's impressive.
Right? Like if we're playing one-on-one and you throw that up, I'm impressed.
Right. If you give me those numbers in NBA Jam, I'm happy with them. NBA Live, I don't care. That's a really quality stat line over 21 minutes or something close to along that lines. Doesn't mean it happens tonight. But again, we're working off crap data in the preseason. We can only go off of what we know. And we know that we saw good Whiteside game 1. Why wouldn't we see it again tonight?
Yeah, I like the way you put it there. Like if we saw it game 1 and he's focused there, all we can do is go off that.
And while the preseason means nothing to a lot of people, like if you look at a guy like James Harden tonight, what does the preseason mean to him? We know what James Harden's capable of. This guy has a chip on his shoulder and something to prove. So it means a little bit more to him than it does an established stud.
Yeah, that's why almost in the preseason, there's like that soft spot and that kind of that sweet spot, I should say, of like not stars and not like the complete bench guys, but like the middle guys are like,
Definitely. All right, next up. Brandon Ingram is one of my top guys that I trust for bigger money tonight. So we've seen these teams match up already, as we alluded to, and we talked over Morris early on. There's no reason to push the king. LeBron will want to develop some chemistry with his teammates, but the whole year is going to be a maturation and a learning process for him. Bron's been in this league for a while. I think we know what he's capable of. Ingram, on the other hand, really needs to push to kind of move into like that secondary alpha dog role on the LA Lakers this year. We've always liked him when he's playing at home. He led the Lakers in the first game with 27 minutes. I think this is a big push time for Brandon Ingram to establish himself in the pecking order right here. Again, he had a nice first game, 16 points, 4 boards, an assist, 2 steals, a block. He will stuff the stat sheet for you. And you can kind of get him at that weaker, smaller forward position. And I just like this game to have some pace. I think he's in a pretty good line to repeat those good minutes that we saw last time out. I wouldn't be surprised if that 27 goes up to 28 or 29. Yeah,
I'm with you there. He seems like a safe spot here for him. And we just like him, like you said, at home. It doesn't really seem like much could change worse here, but I guess the upside's for more if he does play a couple more minutes.
Right. Like, you don't expect Ingram to get like superstar old man treatment the way you would. Like, James Harden's not old, but James Harden, we know what you got with him. With Brandon Ingram, he still needs to continue to get better. He's on the rise. I want to push a guy on the rise. Whereas like LeBron, you kind of know what you got. Let him play his minutes, let him get acclimated, and then shove him to the side because we know what Bron offers. We're still looking for Ingram to develop.
I just said it, but this applies here also. Kind of those secondary pieces, like those not the role players, but like the guys that are trying to emerge and take the next step. Hassan Whiteside, Brandon Ingram, those type of guys that have something to prove.
Right, and even though Whiteside and Ingram are different from an age aspect, they both have that reason to push. Ingram from a developmental standpoint, Whiteside from a comeback standpoint, they have a reason that the preseason means something to them, whereas other guys, again, when you're really, really good already and established, the preseason doesn't mean much to you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, last up, Scary Terry. Big thing here, Kyrie Irving is out for rest tonight. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that I want to pound the Celtics real hard because they are very deep. I expect them to spread the minutes out, but I do figure Scary Terry will make it into the starting lineup tonight. I do not have that as like a guaranteed thing. It would just be the natural best guess that he will take the starting point guard spot for Kyrie Irving tonight. We know that this guy is a DFS stud when he gets in the game. He's a very good player. What a great postseason by him last year. I mean, he basically ripped the heart out of the Milwaukee Bucks over and over and over again. And I like the fact that Boston's already played 2 preseason games. We've seen them play 19 and 20 minutes collectively. With Kyrie Irving out tonight, who's averaging about 24 and a half minutes throughout the preseason, those minutes need to get spread out to somebody else. My best guess, Terry sees a few of them. Could be 2, could be 5, could be 8 for all I know. My guess would be more like 2 to 5, but I don't really have any firm data to back that up with. We know he's also really, really good, and that Cleveland is not like this slow down premier defensive team that you're really scared to bring guys out against. So I figured also if he's announced as the starter early and you get some good information with that, I figure he becomes chalk and a guy I want on my cash game roster.
For sure. He started all for Kyrie Irving throughout the playoffs, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I'd be shocked if it wasn't him tonight. Obviously, we don't know, like you said, but it seems like that's just a natural progression for him to be that guy. What's interesting about Rozier, and we talk about this a lot with guys that move from the bench into the starting lineup, oftentimes, more often than not, those guys don't succeed because they're playing with better players. They were meant for bench role, easier defenders, etc. Rozier is that rare guy that was not afraid to take that step up and is actually better in the starting role. I'm with you. He's not afraid to shoot. He's kind of a guy that he's probably a better DFS player than real life player because he has the ball in his hands a lot, and that's how you get DFS points. We talked about that in our video yesterday with big men and point guards.
Right. I think he's good at both personally, man. I just think he's awesome. He's a stud. And I kind of wonder, is there a move for Boston? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know when Kyrie's contract is up, or I forget how that works out, but I mean, like, to me, this guy could be your starting point guard. And I like Kyrie as a player, but I feel like Kyrie could be best served in a different place where there wasn't so much talent around him, when you kind of needed him to carry the offense and maybe the defense was really good outside of him. Boston's just got so much talent that Rozier is really good, but he may be like the 5th best player on this team. Rozier could be the 2nd best player on some other teams.
A kid I know from around here that who's a year younger than me is actually Rozier's agent. So got a little inside info on that. We'll talk after the show.
Okay, cool. Well, I think the guy's a stud. I think as long as he's announced as a starter and there's data out there, I think he'll be popular tonight. I can't guarantee that. You don't really know where everybody's going from a DFS perspective in NBA. But I look at like Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid last night, and they were in our lineup or my lineup. They weren't great. They were fine. They didn't play a ton of minutes. They did their job, but they were super high owned. So on the chance that Rozier comes in and plays 30 minutes because there's no Kyrie, which is a chance. I don't think that's what happens, but it's possible. Well, then I want him on my side because that's a guy who could go off for 40 if he gets the minutes, which is not a guarantee, but I'm just spitballing and guessing he'll get a lot of buyers.
So true. I mean, this guy is a guy with massive upside anytime he touches the rock. So I'm with you there.
Right. And we talked about this earlier today when we did the cash lineup review. Like, I could definitely see him, if people think he's the starter, getting like Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid type of ownership from last night. Doesn't mean he's going to go off or anything like that. It just means that you're safer having him on your side on the off chance he does play a bunch of minutes.
Mm-hmm. Is that a GBP right there?
No. Cash lineup, 23 players, second place, doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
I think, I kind of went into detail too when we were talking about this earlier, or I was just did that one on my own. When you look at something like that, that's why I like single entry double ups. Like, I feel like I was in a really weak one last night, and that's why I got second. I think in a normal one, it would have been a little bit further on down the road, but they're so sporadic in how you place on things like that. Like, that's why I like the bigger single entry double ups if you can find them.
I agree with you. You just got to get in them early.
Yeah, there isn't a ton of them.
Football.
Right? And that's why, like, I got to reserve my contest Saturday night, because if I forget to,
Saturday night.
Playing this one. Yep.
I'm reserving them like Monday night.
Well, I don't go that far ahead. I usually find that I'm good Saturday night, but hell, if you know you're going to play, why not reserve them?
Yeah, for me, like, I'll reserve them, especially during baseball season, because I know that money's like accounted for. It's just, for me, a better thing. For you, I'm sure that doesn't make one bit of difference.
Yeah, because I also got kids too. So, like, I don't know if something's going to happen and I can't play.
So true.
I mean? Like, where you're pretty set, like, that you know that you're going to be able to play that night, where I'm like, I got real life that gets in the way a little bit more often, because those little two, like, I don't know, they need stuff all the time. Man, kids are like, they're so non-dependent or independent.
I am surprised though, if that all, because you do enter a bunch of single entry double ups, that they're all available for you on Saturday night. Although they do just keep putting out more, I think, as the bigger ones fill. Yeah,
I mean, I'll get in. I don't usually like to go over the $100 ones. I try to, if I can. I would rather enter 4 10-25s than the 250, for example. I don't know for a fact that the cash line's any different. I just feel like that's probably slightly lower on the standard of what people are playing. Maybe. Could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm interested to find out about that. That'd be really good info to know, because I've thought about that same thing.
And I'll be honest, just from years of doing this, I don't find that there's a big difference in the cash line from even $1 up to like a 250.
No, and we always talk about that. People who want to find like the magic contest, they're not there. Occasionally you'll get one, like maybe your one last night, especially if you like enter a real late contest that is just really small. Of course, like, there's variance between contests, but there's no magic ones, I'll tell you that much.
No, not at all. I just prefer the single entry, because then it's at least pure. Whereas if you get in a small one, you can get into a low competition one. Like, I think it was on the low end. I don't have any facts to back that up. I'm just guessing, just based on where I finished in the GPP. I placed, but I didn't place high up. And usually if you're high up on a double up, you're usually pretty good on your GPPs too. Again, just spitballing. For those lower ones, you can get into the weak ones, but there's sometimes, man, when you play like a 23-person double up, like, you get some good competition, especially if you get like a lineup share in there and like 3-4 people crush it. Like, the cash line can be way higher.
I agree. I think 23 people is too small. Like, finding the right double up contest is almost just as important as finding the right GPP. They're very different, but it's very important.
Yeah, you just got to know your strategy. If you're 150 max entry, well, then you're limited on where you're going to go. You're going to pick the dollar amount that suits you, but there are only so many 150 max or 200 max entries available for GPPs. We like the 3 entry max personally, especially for baseball. Football, it's a little bit different because I want to do a few more lineups in GPPs than that. But
I've kind of taken the 3 entry max approach on everything, and kind of like sometimes I'll create more lineups and sometimes I'll enter it in more tournaments. But though 3 entry max and single entry is kind of where I try to focus on.
Yeah, me too. That's primarily what I focus on. For football, like, I don't play like big winning like tournaments. Like oftentimes, like the max prize might be 10 grand because it's not going to have 100,000 entries. You know, sometimes I'll play GPPs where it's only a few hundred. You can win them more often. It's not unrealistic to win a 300-person GPP semi-routinely. I'm not saying you're going to do it every weekend, but you can win those multiple times a season.
Most definitely. Big difference.
So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. We will do as much NBA preseason info as we can. I got like 40 questions already today. We will try to do it every day. Baseball is pretty much over, so it'll be a lot easier. I won't promise it, and it definitely won't come on Sundays, but we'll try to be on here almost every day covering NBA preseason.
Yeah, it's fun.